All right, y'all. So I have gotten a lot of interest in some of my personal projects, be that from people coming from Brandon's page or just finding my stuff or whatever. Specifically, my one shot for the 250th. And I know that's a lot of words that probably don't make a whole lot of sense to everyone. So I'm going to hopefully break this down. We're going to go over what this is. It's a comic. Spoiler alert. What the release schedule looks like, and I've also got the first spread here if you guys want to preview it. I'll also be posting this spread up on my community tab so that you can look at it and gaze upon it at your leisure, because I realize on a YouTube video it's not the easiest thing to read. So first of all, what is a one shot? Is this like a comic strip? Is this like, One Piece? We're gonna have like, over 1,000 chapters kind of thing. No and no. This is a self-contained single publication of a story, basically. So if you think, I guess, in terms of literature, if a novel or a series is more like your long form content, your short story would be more comparable to a one shot. So it is self contained. There are a lot of mangaka and comic artists who will create one shots as a bit of a pilot, kind of as a pitch to an editor, to a publisher, and then it would later be serialized and they would like rewrite stuff and make it fit for serialization. But the point of the one shot itself is to be self contained. So, if it never actually takes off or gets serialized, then you have this nice, happy little story that winds up, in a bow, and there's not too many loose ends or anything too crazy. So that's what a one shot is. The 250th refers to the 250th anniversary of the founding of America, also known as Treason Day. As you can tell, this is from the British perspective. So this is a perspective that I really don't see addressed very often on either side, frankly, because for the Americans, I think they're kind of seen as this bit of a monolith of like, oh, it's the British. They drink their tea and make us pay taxes and things. And over on the continent and also in Britain itself, I feel like the American Revolution is seen as this awkward little proxy war that takes place smack between the 7 Years' War and the Napoleonic stuff. So two like very, very large, very bloody conflicts. And then you got this little itty bitty thing that kind of happens in the backwoods of North America that, yeah, we sent some guys. It was kind of a mess. So it ended up being too expensive, so we gave up. That was kind of what they did. And it's not because I think there's any hard feelings. It's just that, it's too expensive of a war, and there was not a whole lot to be gained from keeping it going. But this is a perspective that I really wanted to cover because while I think we are doing significantly better with covering voices from this time period, be that women or enslaved individuals, Native Americans, all those marginalized voices that history tends to overlook. Um, Due to circumstance and due to I don't know, I guess just because they were the bad guys, the British perspective is just not really addressed. The British and loyalist perspective, I guess, is kind of lumped in there together. And of course, those perspectives do, by their very nature, include a lot of, enslaved individuals, Native American individuals, and women in their own right. So I definitely wanted to cover this. The only piece of media, like popular media, that I can think of that even remotely covers it is like, I don't know, like Turn Washington Spies or something, which is not a very good show. So I felt like we needed to do a little bit of a touch up on our cultural slash historical perspectives regarding that. Now, what is the story actually about? So the elevator pitch to the story is that you have a very, very unscrupulous British private who is very ineffectual and very indolent. Those are just big words. He's really lazy. He's not a very good soldier. My goal here is to, for an American audience anyway, kind of break down some of those stereotypes that we have of the British during this time period. No, they weren't all rich. No, they were not all gentlemen. No, they were not all stuffy. Like, no. He's this poor laborer from like Yorkshire or whatever. Um, and he winds up finding out through all fault of his own, basically, it was 500% his fault, that there is stuff going on in the backwoods of America that may not be what he initially signed up for. So if you can tell from the title and also the cover, there is some spooky stuff in there. Um, it is meant, I guess, like aimed, like content wise, it is considered young adult, so there's nothing too crazy in there. But, there might be a little bit of spooky stuff, just full disclosure. So I'm going to give you all the first two spreads to look at. I usually put a good deal more effort into the first spread, first 2 pages. The first pages of these guys so that, it really gets people's attention. and it is in full color. So unlike a manga or whatever, this particular digital release will be in full color. I'm going to get to the print release situation in a little bit. So there's the first one, first page, and then that is page 2. And as you can see, that is our hapless protagonist, unfortunately. Yeah, he's not exactly aura farming it. He's kind of a loser. But that's okay, because sometimes those make the best protagonists. You kind of root for them. They're endearing in a way. Sort of. But yeah, like I said, these will be on my community tab, so you can view them for free and watch and peruse them at your leisure, so that you don't need to sit here and try to pause the video and read all, especially this page. This is a lot. I don't, I wouldn't be able to read that from off of a 720p video or whatever. I gotta go through some of the more concept art. There's one of the werewolves that appears. This is both of these illustrations are actually from, I think, like 2018. Or no, it was like 2019 or 2020. It was at the tail end of college for me, so it was like smack at the end. So I think like this one, obviously I don't have to worry too much about, but this one, like the material culture, I need to probably go back in and fix some of, because it's not the best. But again, drew it like 7 years ago. And no, I did not initially make this with the intent of, yes, I shall plan this out and release it on the 250th. No, it was an idea that I had. I didn't really know what to do with it. It's just sitting around. I didn't really develop it. They were just kind of characters and concepts. I guess these would be kind of considered the guiding, like, concept art or hero images for the project. But I didn't really have any plot for it. It was just some characters and some ideas. But then I developed it, and I was like, well, you know what? I don't really think I'm ready to make a full series out of it. But I think a one shot would be fine. So that's what that is. And then there's one of the other characters who appears in there. He's got a pretty minor role in the story, but there is Redmond, or Red as he goes by, because he is annoying. He is actually the great great grandfather of a character of mine who appears in my other long form comic project, The Wasteland. He is Bayard's great great grandfather, which means that he canonically reproduces, which is terrifying. Everyone really likes Red. I thought I'd just throw that in there because he's everyone's favorite. Now, as for the release schedule for this situation, this is slated to release the first 18 pages on the 4th. So I wanted to have something to release on the 4th. I was initially just going to plow through this and do them all and just release it sometime in July, but I thought that was kind of boring. And also, while I was working on this comic, I realized about 18 pages in, which is like literally the halfway point of the story, that this is actually a very good stopping off point. Like, it's very narratively and visually divided evenly into two parts, almost perfectly. I think the second part has 20 pages. I added an extra spread in there, but other than that, it's very close. So first 18 are going to come out on the 4th, and then the following 20 will hopefully be out at some point in late July, early August. I don't know. It really depends on whatever crazy life circumstances happen next. I did these 18 pages extremely quickly. I think I started these on June 5th or something like that, and I finished coloring them on the 25th, I want to say. So I spent like little less than 3 weeks on this whole thing, full color and everything. Now I know it's only the first part, but that is ridiculous, and I never want to do that again. That is what the deadline crunch will do to you. I probably in the future, what I'll end up doing is getting an earlier start. That would be smart. I had a lot of personal problems that came up, mainly due with my apartment. May or may not have been faced with homelessness, but you know what? We got it sorted out. We're good. I hate living here. Uh, so that is what the game plan is. For a print release, I do not have a print release in the United States. This is really ironic. I do not have a print release slated for the United States. I'm sorry. I might try doing the great Bezos Printing Press LLC, known as Amazon. But what I wanted to do was give its overseas publication a shot, because I am actually going to be doing a small run of these guys in the UK, which is also extremely ironic. This was intended for an American audience, so I'm not sure how well it'll do over in the UK. Again, I don't know how well the American Revolution is. I don't know if people really care over there. You know, it does have a British main character, so there is that aspect of it. But again, there's also the aspect of, I don't know if the British, I don't know if like the people in the UK really care to hear about like their colonial history. I think it's a little bit kind of anathema, like you don't really want to talk about it too much. So I don't know. We'll see. That will be coming out hopefully in August to September. It really depends on like how quickly we can get things kind of put together. Because once the comic is finished, it's really just a matter. It's going to be like on A4s. Um, and then kind of getting it sorted out and organized. I'm going to try to get a few of them sent over here to do a small run over here, just, you know, out of my own house, essentially. It's not like from a distributor. And I might see if maybe we can set up some kind of drop shipping, drop printing. Is that even a thing? Deal? Like a print order thing from that same publishing house, because I would like to have them get a piece of the pie if humanly possible. But as of right now, it doesn't look like there's going to be any major plans here in the United States for this publication. Uh, so that is what we are looking at in terms of publishing. Unfortunately, a print release for this, both stateside and in the UK, are going to be in screen tones. So a screen tone is when something is in the dots. You know, like you've ever read a manga, it's got the dots, and that is just due to the cost. Like it is not really an established IP, so it is a little bit hard for me to justify, you know, charging like $30 or something for some itty bitty little one shot that no one's ever heard of. If it gets enough attention, I might do a kind of premium release where it is in full color, and then I will have like, you know, extra illustrations and writing and lore and any other pieces of relevant content that people might be interested in. But as of right now, we're looking at a hopefully relatively cheap black and white publication overseas. So that's what to look forward to on that side. I have bibble babbled a lot about this. It's not scripted and I'm a little bit long winded, but hopefully that all made sense to you guys. Look forward to the release on the 4th. It will be coming out on my Patreon. I forgot to mention that. There will be an online release on my Patreon. That is where you can go find it. I am not going to make it very expensive since this is obviously just the first part. The second part will be the same price, and I don't want it to be too crazy. My main goal is really just get it out there. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you again next time.